Okay, this video is for the construction of the original bodice design. So in previous videos I showed my pattern manipulation. So I have a single shoulder dart that was transferred from the waist dart bodice. This is my pattern. Here's my dart here. This center front piece was cut on the fold, so this was cut 1. I measured up against the selvage edge to make sure it was parallel to cut the back. So this was cut 2, fabric was folded. So I also have my center front facing piece that was cut on the fold here, because that will go on the front inside neckline edge of my shirt. And then my back facing, which was cut the same as the back, so cut 2 with the center back edge measured up against the selvage edge. You can also see that I have my inner facing that was cut for only my facing pieces, so that needs to be cut the same exact way. So inner facing piece here was cut on the fold. So I'm going to go ahead and first fuse my facing pieces. So once I take this off, I will just fuse my inner facing to the wrong side of my actual facing pieces. Okay, so my facing pieces are now fused, and I'm just going to set these to the side. These are my 2 back pieces. I'm going to set these to the side, and my next step is going to be to trace my darts. So I'm going to use my tracing paper and tracing wheel, making sure I fold so that my wax or my chalk is facing the wrong side of my fabric to mark my dart. So I'm going to slide that in between the 2 layers of fabric. And I just want to make sure I have a color that's going to show up. I'm going to trace my dart legs here. First nice and hard. And I'm going to trace a limit line across my dart apex, so I'll know exactly where to stop, and to make sure that my 2 dart legs are the same length. So make sure you can actually see your dart. Markings, so we can clearly pin it. I'm going to go ahead and do my front now. This is a larger dart. I'm going to have to put this in here twice. So I'm going to mark for this 1 dart leg at a time because I don't have a bigger piece of tracing paper with me. Okay, and then before you trace, just make sure everything's lined up. Okay, and for the front, I'm going to mark my actual true dart, so the inside dart, for stitching, since we've already created a design. So I'm going to mark that dart leg. I'm going to mark this part one more time. Okay, I'm going to mark this dart leg. Okay, and then I'm going to mark my limit line here. sure everything's showing up on both sides. Yes, I'm gonna remark just the very bottom of my dart is not showing up. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and start pinning my darts. Just so this dart is pretty big here for my center front because of the amount of excess. So I'm going in on one dart leg, out on the other, pinch it to find the middle, and kind of pin. My pin's not going to make it to the middle, so I just want to make sure I'm clearly pinning on my actual dart leg. Going toward my apex. Okay, if your pin doesn't land on your dart leg, you need to open it up and fix it. Okay, so it needs to be completely accurate. Okay, and then I'm going to do the dart on the other side. Okay, so next I'm going in with a contrast and color thread to base my darts after they're pinned. Just remember, don't take too much thread. Take the end of the thread, wrap it around your elbow. Once you get back up to your wrist, go ahead and cut it there. Okay, we don't need any knots in this because this is just to hold it while we're about to pin, so that we're not stitching our darts through any pins. Okay, so I'm going to go in and start basting my dart here, right on my dart leg. Making sure I'm not basting it down, but that I can see both sides of my tracing. So I'm just going in and out on my traced line of my dart leg, stitching around my pins. And I'm going to pull it through when I get to my apex. So I'm going to leave about a 2-inch, 1 to 2 inch tail on both ends of my dart, since I'm not going to knot it, just to keep it in while I stitch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clip these threads. Okay, and then I can go ahead and take those pins out there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of my front and on my back darts. Okay, so I'm now ready to go ahead and I'm going to stitch the dart that I basted. So I'm going to start at the mouth of the dart here, which is the widest point, and I'm going to back tack, stitch to my apex, So I'm back tacking. I'm going to stitch to my apex, leave thread tails, no back tacking at the apex, and what I'm going to do is just tie it off twice. Okay, so I'm stitching on number 2 stitch. I'm going to lay this out flat. Okay, we do not stitch darts down. And I'm going to begin to stitch at the mouth of the dart. I'm going to take a couple stitches, back tack. Stitch to my apex and stitch off at my limit line. And I just want to make sure I leave thread tails. That will be long enough for me to tie. Okay. So I'm going to clip all my threads here. And then once I check out my dart, I can pull my basting. Here, I'm going to go ahead and tie. I want a nice little knot right down on the fabric. So I'm just going to go in and tie this twice. Okay, so then I'm going to clip my threads and then go in and just seam rip my green thread here. Okay, and then I will do my other 3 darts, and then I'll show how to press these.